thank you for making the time to join us today. It's greatly appreciated. We'd like to go over just a couple of items before we start. First of all, can everyone hear me? Yes, hope so.
Yes.
Thank you. So just a couple of things we'll go over here. First will be a 1-minute survey during today's live wire, along with a brief QA at the end, where you'll have an opportunity to win a $50 gift card. Also, during this live wire, we're going to be providing some application sample. We're going to provide the links to those samples, and during this live wire, we'll also email them afterwards. We also want to remind everyone that we're also hosting another live wire in regards to messaging and some of the changes that are happening industry-wide in that regard. That will be hosted next week, Tuesday, February 23rd, and we're welcome all to join for that. Okay, so let's briefly run through today's agenda. We'll first introduce you to LiveWire, then we'll discuss today's topic. Then we'll highlight our unique relay technology and how it relates. We'll then with a demo, as you just mentioned, as well as a brief tutorial on how easy it is to actually get started. We will also provide a brief Q&A session at the end. Let's get started. So what is a LiveWire? LiveWire is basically a bi-monthly series where we will discuss SignalWire's relay, which is a cutting-edge technology, and all that it allows you to do. During each live wire, we'll discuss a unique use case that's possible because of Relay's technology. We'll provide an explanation of that use case, what problem it could potentially solve, and its related benefits. We'll also provide a live demo of the feature with an overview of the code and how it can be easily implemented. Let's get started first with some introduction. So my name is Aaron Alter. I'm currently the Director of Communications Product here at SignalWire. A little bit about myself. I've been in the telecom industry for more than 15 years. Joined SignalWire's amazing team and mission just under a year ago. Prior to that, I was the head of telecommunications at another startup, which kind of got big, called Service Titan. They're in the home services industry. Also joining us today is my colleague, Luca. Luca, do you want to go ahead and quickly introduce yourself?
Of course. My name is Luca Pedrera. I'm the lead technology evangelist at SignalWire. And after a long stint in telephony consulting and building real-time applications, I joined the SignalWire team, which I've known for a long time, to start developing the new generation of telecommunications together. And so far, it's been a very fun ride, and I'm looking forward to a lot more.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that intro, Luca. So let's get right into it. As I'm sure you're all aware, lead generation, follow-ups, surveying customers for feedback and/or concerns are a crucial need for every business. However, having agents manually dialing contacts and hitting into busy tones, answering machines, fax machines, or disconnected calls greatly reduces actual talk times with your customers. In addition, the data and information in regards to call outcomes many times requires manual input. For instance, if you're using some sort of CRM to log that information, this causes precious time to be lost and greatly minimizes your productivity. Therefore, being able to find ways to help streamline that process is a crucial need. So what's the solution? Well, we'd like to introduce you to the concept of an auto dialer. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that concept. For those that aren't, an auto dialer is a software or API that automatically dials telephone numbers pulled from a preset list and then automatically connects the customer either to a live agent when answered, or can drop a pre-recorded message on a customer's voicemail. Auto dialers are used in a variety of settings and industries, including sales in general, healthcare, education, hospitality, as well as many, many more. So why is adding an auto dialer to your portfolio so important? Well, firstly, it drastically improves operational efficiency. Using an auto dialing system means no longer manually dialing. In doing so, it eliminates the various call constraints like misdialing, excessive wait time, and call drops, affecting operational efficiency of your agents. Automating the dialing process ensures only connected calls are routed to agents, as auto dialers can detect the busy signals, voicemails, and non-serviceable numbers, thereby increasing the call connect ratio remarkably. More connected calls results in higher agent productivity and improved operational efficiency. It also significantly reduces an agent's idle time. Manually dialing leads to high agent idle time, as agents have to wait until a call is actually connected. For every call, an agent wastes time listening to busy tones, answering machines, and facing disconnected calls. The auto dialer's technology enables a dialing system to recognize these elements and skip the call if any of these time-wasting items are identified. Auto dialers are really effective in minimizing idle time, as it ensures only answered calls are routed to agents. It also increases agent talk times. One of the most important advantages of an auto dialer is the significant increase in actual talk time when connected. For instance, if using an auto dialer, typically on average, agent talk times can be increased from just 15 to 20 minutes per hour in talking to as much as an additional 40 to 50 minutes per hour. This increased agent talk time leads to better customer engagement, along with higher agent morale and productivity. In addition, it also allows for better lead conversion ratios. When an intelligent auto dialer solution is implemented, for instance, for a complex inside sales process that involves high-value leads, it brings further agility to the outbound calling process. For instance, auto dialers can work in conjunction with your application or CRM to provide a quick snapshot of customer contact details before dialing the call. This can help your agents better prepare the call for when the call is actually connected. And with prior information at the agent's disposal, that can drive personalized conversation, which helps customer engagement and increases the chance of lead conversion significantly. So what makes SignalWire unique to handle this important task? Well, SignalWire has developed a technology called Relay. Relay is a real-time web service protocol that uses WebSockets. Well, without getting too technical here, this technology is essentially able to provide a persistent and asynchronous connection. That allows for more dynamic call manipulations in real time. As opposed to many other RESTful type APIs, work in a kind of back and forth methodology, which requires more overhead and does not allow for more of a real-time call manipulation when necessary. Essentially, with a RESTful API, whatever manipulations that would potentially be expected during a call would need to be pre-set up before that call. Since Relay technology is a persistent and real-time connection, it allows for dynamic call manipulations during a live call. That opens up a whole new realm of possibilities. So how can this unique and cutting-edge technology make your auto dialer even better? Well, most auto dialer technologies out there today are able to detect if a real person has answered, usually using a method called automated speech recognition, which, by the way, is also included in SignalWire's technology. However, this method is still not precise in and of itself, as ASR many times cannot distinguish between whether a voicemail picked up, if that message is created by a real person, or an actual real person has picked up. One of the unique benefits in building your auto dialer using SignalWire's Relay tech is that it includes a unique technology called word count detection. Essentially, if you were to focus in on it, when a real person answers the phone, they typically say 6 words or less before awaiting a response from the other end. Hello, can I hear you? Is someone there? All less than 6 words. On the other hand, if a voicemail is reached, it just keeps on playing. And when you're using just an automated system recognition by itself, it's really hard to differentiate between that real person versus a real person's message in a voicemail. SignalWire's unique word count detection is able to count actual words said and automatically adjust accordingly. That's super important in regards to what we mentioned, caller wait times and connecting to your agents. Since the faster a real person can be detected, the faster they can be transferred to your agents, providing them with a better customer experience and of less wasted time. In addition, this word count detection technology can actually also be customizable. As mentioned, the main differentiator between a voicemail or a real person is usually 6 words or less that are set upon an answer. However, that is by no means an exact science. SignalWire's word count detection technology is easily customizable so that it can be adjusted over a period of time if needed. And finally, to bring this all together, as mentioned earlier, the advantage of our unique Relay technology is that it provides, as mentioned, a persistent and real-time connection, which allows for more dynamic call control. This means when the dialer detects a real answer through word count detect, it can connect the caller to your agent even faster. With all of that in mind, we'd like to actually demo this for you, right? Actions speak louder than words.
Okay, so let's get started by looking at the demo. What we're going to do here is going to be getting a relay consumer, which is the main operating unit of a relay application, to accept a task and place a call or multiple calls. The web application will launch the tasks to the consumer and display the results using very simple HTTP and WebSockets mechanism. First thing we'll do is just run the application and see what happens. So first of all, what I'm going to do here is I've set it up briefly to have a few test numbers. So each one of these numbers is different. One of these points to a number that doesn't answer any call. The other points to an answering machine that will play a message and then play a beep waiting for a recording. And the third number calls a live phone number. So what we'll do here, yes, it will be recorded. The webinar is being recorded. Okay, so I'll do that in one at a time first, so it's easier to figure out what's going on the screen. On my right side, I have the console for the relay consumer and also the web application, and on my left side, I have the actual app running in a Docker container. I'll try calling the first number. The first number is actually the number that doesn't answer. So as you see, we're placing the call is getting declined, and the call fails, which is expected. Okay, so this is what happens. So we know the call has failed, and we won't be playing audio. We won't be waiting. We don't do anything. We just hang up and do something else. Okay, so now I'm going to call the number that's pointed at an answering machine, which I actually built on another SignalWire service, just to have a quick check. So here, our goal is to detect the message, play and leave our own message after the beep is played, so that the message is left in the correct place in the recording and you can hear the entire recording on the call. There we go. We're calling the number. The call is being successful, so it's being connected. Successful means the call is being answered. Now we're detecting, we're getting back ready. What ready means in this context is that the application has detected an answering machine that is ready for the recording. In case we were just wanting to detect answering machines because maybe we don't care about leaving a message, we can set it up without waiting for the beep, and it will just return machine immediately as soon as it determines what's on the other end. Let's try. We're going to call live number, or we're going to ring somewhere in the audience.
I think you got me.
Oh, look, it's your number.
Hello.
So while the call is getting connected, we're going to an agent, which is actually just a recording to the sake of brevity. Of course, this agent is answering a phone number, so we're placing a call to the other end, which takes a little bit, can take a second or two to connect. But then, of course, Aaron just heard a short message, and then we're done. Of course, the agent could have been a human, could have been anything we can point a phone number at. The idea here is that the relay logic will detect all of the numbers, all of the actions that are on the other end, and decide what to perform. How answering machine detection works in general is quite well, it's known, but it's always quite complicated. So as you know, answering machine detection relies on having a word count, on activity detection, and energy detection, meaning that, generally speaking, what an answering machine detector looks for is how fast has the other person started speaking after they picked up. Something that speaks immediately after it's answered, it's usually a machine. Then we'll go with the word count, and if the sentence that's said on the other end is longer than, in this case, 8 words, as we'll see momentarily, we usually assume it's a machine. When you pick up your phone, you usually say hello, or something like that. Well, an answering machine will play a message like, hello, you have reached Lucas voicemail. I'm not here at the moment. Please leave a message after the beep. So the message is longer. Also, there's generally no pauses between words. While if you say hello and you don't hear anything, you will usually wait a second and then say, hello. So there's a pause in the middle. All of these are taken into account by SignalWire's cutting-edge AMD, which is a shorthand for answering machine detection. Sorry for using the shorthand, but we use it so much that. And the used to determine who's on the other end. There's also a separate detector that can detect a fax machine that can be used to avoid leaving messages to fax machines too. Okay, so let's go take a look at the code, because it's generally useful to understand what's going on. I won't go into deep dive. This is not a super technical presentation. This is just an idea of, it's just to give you an idea of what we're doing here. So the application is built out of a few different parts, the main one being the consumer. A SignalWire Relay Consumer is a class that's available in many languages that has the ability to receive calls, receive tasks, and dial calls, and many other things. In this case, the consumer is just receiving a task. What a task is a lightweight messaging protocol that we developed so that your existing applications can easily control a consumer by sending the consumer effectively a message. So what we have here is that the consumer is waiting for a task. Task is coming from a context of dollar. There could be multiple contexts. What a context is just a label. It's a logical group to keep together your calls and your tasks for a certain group. That way you can have multiple groups of consumers that are doing different things. And so keep in mind that a consumer can do multiple things, such as you could have an on-task method, but also an on-incoming message or an on-incoming call method. So you could have consumers that do both. You don't need to code one consumer per each task. You can use the same consumer, or you can do it different. I mean, it's up to you. Depends on your exact scaling mechanism. What's important to know before we delve into the code just for a bit is that a relay consumer has the ability to horizontally scale automatically. So if you run multiples, they will get tasks distributed amongst them by a SignalWire. Okay, so what we have here on the other end is a very simple application that's just a web app, really. It's a Sinatra app. Sinatra is a small Ruby micro framework that's used to build, well, no, I wouldn't say simple. You can use it to build any kind of web application. And in this case, it's my preferred go-to when I'm doing this kind of thing. So what you're going to see here is that we get a post on line 21 here. We receive a post from the server, from the browser, sorry. And then for each number, we go for the for each number, if it's not empty, so we avoid empty lines on the input, we just call it. What do we do here is we perform a task. Performing a task is a single line just here. As you can see, we're sending a task to the context of dollar, and with a message that's just a number, which is the number we want to call. Of course, we've set it up before using the various SignalWire tokens that you need to connect to SignalWire. Okay, so our web app sends the task. Now what happens is that one of our consumers, we only have one running, so one of them will receive the task, which is the only one we have. If there were multiples, one of them will get the task. They receive the message, so we'll log that. We'll grab the number, and then we'll start. So when you see that send event method, the send event method is actually just sending the event back to the web app via an HTTP post, and in turn that is being relayed to the browser via WebSocket. That has nothing to do with Relay. It's just how I built the demo to make it look a little bit cooler. But of course, all the code is in the repo, which I'll check on later, and you can certainly refer to that. So we'll dial a call, which is actually the call to the destination. So we're calling one of those numbers. When it gets dialed, we'll say we're dialing and check the result. If the result is successful, means the call was answered. And we'll start probably the most interesting thing here, which is the answering machine detection. As you can see, I've set it up to have a word threshold of 8 and to wait for the beep. So this will use the various technologies using counting words, but also energy detection, voice activity detection, etc., and wait for the beep if it's a machine. Okay, so what we'll do here is we'll check if it's a human. If it's a human, we'll just connect them to another number. As you can see here, we're literally just dialing another number. It's pretty simple. And of course, we're waiting for the call to end. We're giving them the time to talk. If it's not a machine, it's not a human, sorry, we'll play a message using text-to-speech. Hello, we tried to reach you, but you could not find you. Please call back and whatever. And then we'll hang up in any case. Of course, if the call failed, we'll just say the call failed, which was effectively hung up. Okay, so going over it one more time, the application logic flows as follows. user is on the web browser. They click the start button that we had in the browser, and when they click that, the application shows the sends a post to the web app. The web app then takes those numbers in turn and sends a SignalWire task to the consumers. We only have one consumer, so what happens here is that they just get distributed to the one we have. But again, they will be distributed. Each call is placed out, and AMD is ran. That effectively is a very effective self-contained application. Of course, what you will add here is a few things. You will add a database link. You will add something to store the results. But all of those are easy to add, and they will all reside in the web app. This leads to my main architect. The main thing I like about the Relay architecture is that you can have your telephony application be your telephony application, and your business application, the web app, which is usually a web application, your web app side of things can take care of all of the database stuff, knowing that the actual telephony will be stable, scalable, and isolated from the main process. That way, you don't have to worry about anything like asynchronicity or weird stuff. Just run the task and they will work. That's my favorite thing about Relay, amongst other things. Okay, so that was the demo briefly. Of course, there's a lot more to see. We've done multiple webinars. We got links, documentation, etc. And I'll be happy to answer any questions either now or after the presentation. And so how do you get started? Again, Relay runs as a standalone process with no open ports or privileges required. So that means it's a plain, yes, we have a PHP example. We do. There's examples for C#, Node, PHP, Python, and Ruby. Once I restore the permissions on those repos, sorry again. So Relay can run as a separate process with no open ports. So it means it's just a plain old process. You can run it anywhere. You'll notice my Docker container doesn't have any open ports. Means it can be easily used in parallel to your current infrastructure. We have a few examples you can get started from, and it's easy to add, especially to your CRM infrastructures. That has always been a point of contention when we discuss integrating with existing large apps. Existing large apps are not easily modified to add webhooks, to add HTTP access point from outside, and it's very, very complex to get them running. So what we envision with Relay is that people would just build a few webhooks that are already there using the same API they use, for example, to build single-page apps in JavaScript. The same API that powers your screens can power the Relay consumer, and then you can just get going. Again, the main beauty of Relay is the ease of integration and the high horizontal scalability without any particular. There's nothing involved in getting scalability, actually. Just run a few. To cap it off, I think I could say the Relay consumers are actually pretty lightweight since they don't touch the media. It's just JSON going back and forth. We've run upwards of 1,000 concurrent calls on a single Node.js consumer on a normal machine. So while your mileage might vary a lot, generally speaking, of course, it's going to be very, very performant, and it's going to be very effective in enabling a new class of applications. So that said, I'll pass the ball to Aaron to cap this off.
Anyone have anything?
I will start if nobody's saying anything, but I can probably say I'm the least technical guy in the room, I'm sure. I ventured on and found SignalWire about a year and a half ago when I saw it was a pretty open source type of situation, and it offered the lowest cost for getting a US number, right? And I was trying to do it because I saw a lot of people were doing SMS marketing. I didn't figure it out. I talked to your team, support team. They told me to go into a 1-800 number because I got into a spam box. But I know it has nothing to do with this. But when I saw the webinar about the auto dialer, I said, well, that's another level. So thank you guys for actually creating these things. And how a guy like myself who's not technical, but I do have engineers, where is their documentation where I can kind of get these guys to finally master this? Because apparently you guys got this on Smash Luca. Your screen looks great. It works.
Always good when it works. Yeah, we're going to be sharing all of the links right after this LiveWire via email. We're going to send a follow-up with a recording of this LiveWire as well. And so we look forward to hearing from you in any of those things that you mentioned to see where we can work with you.
I put a quick link to docs in the the chat.
Cool. And if I'll leave my email on, if you guys maybe can recommend somebody that you guys know that's a freelancer that knows how to build these things, definitely looking for a pro instead of teaching somebody. That if that's part of your guidelines on this chat.
Definitely. That's one of the things, again, we're trying to highlight here is the fact that Relay is so unique and the cool things that it could do, but on top of that, how easy it is actually to implement. It's a little bit of a different way of doing things than the typical way that people are used to, but it's really easy to get started with this tech if needed, and it can be run in parallel to what you already have. So you don't necessarily have to change it. And using one setup for your inbound, you could get started with Relay with the outbound side without even touching that technically. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, there's a few in the chat, so I can maybe grab a few. So first of all, PHP, we have quite a bit of people working with PHP. So I mean, my email is just luca@signalwire.com, as you can see on the screen. Please drop me a line so I don't so we take it separate offline, and I'll be happy to help and look into whatever issue you have had. There's no problem there. Again, we have many people using PHP daily, including very high volumes, so it's probably something that I need to help you with. We're able to dial outside of US and Canada through PSTN, but we don't currently offer PS DIDs, international DIDs, so that might change in the future. And I'm smiling as I say this, but still, it's not like that. And so AMD timing, AMD will be a talk in itself. As in, you mentioned you will need a couple seconds AMD. So AMD operates, any AMD, not just our AMD, any AMD will operate on voice detection and activity detection. 2 seconds is really hard because there is call setup involved. And plus the connectivity time operating. So doing the entire transaction below 2 seconds will get you a lot of false positives. You can do that, but it's going to be cutting it very, very close. There's ways to tune it using the initial speaker timeout, putting it a little bit closer. There's ways to tune it depending on the prevalent language that you're calling. All languages, as in not programming languages, actual languages, have different greetings and different ways they talk when they pick up the phone or leave a message. So there's adjustments you can make. I've done quite a bit of this. So if there's anything you'd like to do about tuning an AMD and trying to get it to perform better for you, again, just feel free to contact me. This will be an entire talk in itself, so I won't hijack the thing. But I'm very happy to help. So short answer, 2 seconds is going to be very, very close with false positives. So we can take a look and see what we can help with.
Well, thanks for that, Luca. Are there any others?
Hey guys, well, you guys are still on. What's a good resource to start understanding how to use your tool? Because I've read a ton of your documentation. I've read your examples, but like if we don't know how to use relays, I mean, I've come from building, tying into APIs and building websites and all this other stuff, and this is like completely different language, right? So good resource to just understand it. And Fred's been great. So I recognize some of the people I've talked to in the group, but I just feel like my application is probably maybe 5% transferred from Twilio because I just can't get the support, So what's a good way to
So Relay is pretty new. We're still building out the library of examples. That said, what I published, so the Docker examples have a starting point for all languages of support, including a Docker image, which you can or cannot use. I mean, the Docker images are usually very short, and really, if you look at them, they're literally just the installation of the library and not much else. So you could just, I mean, if you're not using Docker, just copy the commands. There is 3 lines of code, and the consumers that are in there are pretty skinny. They just take a call and receive a call, so they will just answer and play a message. The point is that's a good starting point. There's a couple code examples. So the relay dialer is one. I have another coming in the next couple of days that we'll make sure we highlight to an email. And we've been building out examples at a good pace. Again, relay is pretty new. It's actually been around for a while, but it was mostly used internally. Now we're doing a lot of improvements, doing documentation sweep, etc. So it's the examples are there now, and there's more coming. And of course, you can always email me. I'm literally always there. So just ask.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks again for your guys' time today. As mentioned, we'll be sending a follow-up email with the link to today's LiveWire, along with the links that Luca had shared and discussed
Yeah,
earlier.
the repos are public now.
Awesome. If you have any additional questions that have not been addressed here, or you think of others later on, feel free to reach out to us at any time. Look forward to actually hearing from you. One last thing, let me announce the winner of our $50 gift card is Gabriel, SignalWire at Tech Studio. Gabriel, so we'll reach out to you with that. Congratulations. Thanks again for joining us today, and have an enjoyable rest of your day, everyone. Thank you again.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Luca.
You.
Thanks, guys.